So the content is completely different, and the page, like we can't translate the same page and just leave it like that. We have to have like completely different layout and so on. So it's quite a challenging in those cases, because you have to think of the ways to restructure your site.
Before we jump into today's episode, I'd like to give a quick shout out to the sponsor for this episode, Ahrefs. Ahrefs provides you with an all-in-one SEO toolset that does everything from rank tracking to backlink analysis, keyword research, and technical audits. The best part, you can now use Ahrefs Webmaster Tools for free to identify and prioritize optimization opportunities for your website, see all the keywords that your web pages are ranking for, take a close look at the websites that link back to and refer you in their content, and analyze other websites to find out what drives their rankings. Visit ahrefs.com/AWT and sign up for free. And now, back to today's episode.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the SaaS SEO Show. I'm your host, George Kasiotis, and today I'm very excited to be joined by Laura Paskauskaite. I hope I got this right, who is a seasoned professional with over a decade of experience in the tech industry. She has a proven track record of maintaining constant revenue and traffic growth for the organic channel for the companies that she has worked with. She's the head of SEO at Surfshark, an online VPN and online security SaaS. Leading a team of 13 SEO specialists, Laura brings her exceptional leadership skills to drive collective success and foster a culture of excellence. With a remarkable ability to oversee the performance of SEO campaigns in 14 different languages, something that we will discuss during this episode, she demonstrates her proficiency in managing diverse and international projects. Laura, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thank you. That's a very nice and detailed introduction. Appreciate it.
It was a detailed one. That's right. So let's get started. And even though I said, quite a few things about you and what you do, I would like to share with everything who are listening to this episode a few things about your background, and specifically, you have an extensive experience when it comes to tech companies, but if we could share a few more details and, some things that were defining, let's say, in your journey and led you to where you are today, that would be a great way to start this episode.
Thanks. So, as you mentioned, I'm working in SEO for quite a long time, and all of my background comes from tech companies. So I've started in 3D Models Marketplace company. And I started as an intern. Like, fun fact, I've started as the link building intern, and my first task was just to review a very long list of websites and find the email and first name of these websites. And I was just going through, 1,000 or even more sites just to find their contacts. That's where I start. And later on, I learned more about offsite SEO, how to do the outreach. Later on, I moved to the onsite part, learn how to write and create SEO content, how to optimize it. And I've moved several positions in SEO. And at the moment, I'm working at Surfshark, as you mentioned. I have a very big team of SEO specialists I'm proud of, and seems like things going well. And I don't want to brag too much, you did a very nice introduction, so
you can brag as much as you want to. For people who have never heard of or never used Surfshark or any similar solutions, can you please share a few things about what Surfshark is and what you folks do?
Yeah, exactly. Surfshark is a cybersecurity company. So we have several products under our bundle. So we have VPN, antivirus, we have Alert, that is like a tool to monitor if your data has been breached. And we have some other like smaller security products. So basically, a majority of our users are the ones who are caring about their privacy, their security online, and we want to stay secure.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm not an advocate of online security or anything like that. I know like very little things, not so many things actually regarding that. And I wasn't a VPN user until recently, right? Until a few months ago, I realized that, you know what, like it doesn't make sense. I'm moving a lot, and I join the internet through like airports or like Airbnbs or hotels and so on and so forth. So I should add a layer of security when it comes to my online activities. This is when I started using a VPN, and I feel more secure now. And I think that with the expansion of internet and all these like online activities, I think that online security will be an issue that kind of affects us all, and kind of that we have to take a bit more seriously, let's say. Okay, around online security is over. We can move forward with the interesting conversation I have prepared, and we have for all people who are listening to this episode. Now, Surfshark entered the game a bit late. It was launched in 2018. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I guess my first question would be, how did you approach SEO for a new brand in such a competitive category? And I'm not sure if you joined like early on, but when you joined, what were some of the strategies you implemented back then?
Yeah, you're right. Like Surfshark joined a very competitive market quite late. And we already had a lot of like very strong brands being in the industry for 10 or even like more years. So it was quite difficult for the new brand, for a brand new website to compete with them. So yeah, several things we done at that moment. So first thing, probably the most important, was like a very deep analysis of competitive niche and some keywords that you could take. Like we were working a lot to pick the ones that are not that competitive, but could bring us some value as well. By saying value, I mean either traffic or even some conversions, transactions. So we pick those smaller ones, but I think it worked very well. The second thing we did, and one of my advice I would give for all our pick your branded keywords and make sure you rank first, at least for all of your branded phrases. For example, Surfshark price, what is Surfshark, Surfshark versus competitor, and so on. So it's quite easy to rank for these because like it's your brand mentioned. The volume is not that high, but it's growing as a company is growing. And you just have to secure those spots, because in the beginning we had some affiliate sites ranking for Surfshark pricing keyword, and obviously we were making a lot of transactions out of this keyword, even though it's not that popular. So my first advice would be to secure all your branded ones, and also think about your competitors and just compare yourself with competitors. Like Surfshark versus like VPN X, VPN Y, and so on. Because these phrases usually has transactional intent, so they convert quite well. And
something here, a very quick question, sorry, but it's connected to that. Would you also suggest that people go after Surfshark alternatives as part of this strategy?
Yeah, I think that's a way to do it as well. We're actually considering this topic at the moment. We don't have such a content yet, but I think we will do it. Because it's when you are writing about Surfshark and alternatives, like the primary intent is to find your like competitors. But in the end, when you are comparing yourself with your competitors, and if you are better and you believe that you are better, you probably can convince users to, after it reads the article, to like change their mind. So probably it makes sense to take even this one, this kind of.
That's the thing, and it's one of the things that we suggest to our clients in most cases, at least, as well. And two things I can add here. The first would be that, first of all, let's take a step back and explain that when people are searching for something like Surfshark alternatives, I would bucket them into two categories. The first is that these are actual current customers and users. So they are looking for another solution, right? And they have reached a switching moment. And the second, they have been commercially investigating this category of like VPNs or whatever, and they have identified this solution as one of the most prominent solutions in the market, but for some reason, they are still not convinced that this is the best solution for them. And thus they are looking for similar to this solution solutions, okay? And thus I would recommend that, yes, you can definitely suggest like some alternatives to Surfshark, but also keep in mind that first category of people who, for whatever reason, are trying to cancel, in which case you can kind of lead people to one of the two paths. Are you looking to cancel? Because if yes, we would love you to talk to our customer support. Or are you looking for alternatives because you are not a customer yet? Here are some of the most prominent players in this category.
Yeah, that's a very good catch. Yeah, usually it helps for the retention as well. All these like branded phrases you're ranking for, a lot of the cases it's for your retention rate, to keep your customers, to make sure.
Right.
And so on, so on. Yeah,
that's right. Anything else besides going after branded keywords and making sure that no one is quote unquote stealing your traffic in these early days?
Yeah, like we did a lot of things, and some of them we do like until now. So yeah, of course we invested a lot in building links, like increasing our domain authority. Like we started with a new website. So yeah, obviously. But yeah, those I think are probably common sense things to do. Yeah, I'm thinking. Oh yeah. Talking about the market, so yeah, we started with English one in the beginning only. So in the beginning we just focused on English-speaking countries, just to take some space on SERPs there. And once we were like established enough, we moved to like localization and focusing on some other markets in different languages.
We will talk about that because that's something I'm very interested in. For now, can we please discuss something that we got from you as like a piece of information before we book the call for this episode, which is the fact that as part of your strategies, you try to drive not just traffic, but traffic that translates into revenue, right? Actual business outcomes. Can you please speak about that? I mean, how do you do that, and how is this approach different than the traditional SEO approach, which is let's just drive traffic, and call it a day?
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's quite interesting because, as you said, some of the companies and some of the SEOs, they are just responsible for bringing traffic. And yeah, at some point of our journey, we understood that it's quite easy to get traffic once you reach like a certain level of domain authority. For example, for some free intent phrases, for some not that competitive phrases that has a lot of volume, but this traffic is doing nothing on your site. Like it just comes and leaves. So yeah, there is no point of having a goal to get more traffic if that traffic is not relevant for us. So naturally, we have revenue billings from organic channel as our primary goal. And it's like each of a channel has like a certain level of revenue we have to achieve. And this is our like primary goal. And once you have that goal in mind, you just think about the other initiatives that would help you to improve revenue, not traffic. And in that way, you like move your SEO strategy from a one-oriented to traffic to billings, meaning that you focus more on many pages, on transactional, commercial intent, phrases, keywords. We always look for those. It might be even like very low volume phrases, but the ones that has a potential to convert. For example, we just realized that some very long tail keywords, for example, how to know if my ISP is tracking me. It's like a very long tail phrase, but it converts very well. Like it brings like 20, 30 transactions every month from that low volume, but like high potential to convert phrase. So we always focus when we do our keyword research, when we analyzing which kind of pages to update, we always take that into consideration if that page will convert, if it has potential to bring billings. So
Can I ask a question though here? I mean, I guess after a while, you know, through experience that these keyword types or types of queries or however you want to call them, they tend to convert pretty well. But in the beginning, let's say that someone is like in the first stages of this journey, how can you know? I mean, can you, or would you suggest, for example, testing terms through paid search first and then say that we have something here, let's create a page for it? Or is it a different approach? You just like get the page out there to see what it can bring in organically?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are like several ways to do that. One way you mentioned is like going through, checking it out through a PPC campaigns and just see if that brings any conversions. The other way is just to try to understand like what's behind that phrase. Some of the phrases are like naturally the ones that are that has like a higher potential to convert. For example, like VPN download, VPN free trial, buy VPN, and so on. So it both like naturally tells you that it might convert. And usually those are like the most competitive ones as well. So basically you check the competition. If you see that like the competitors are building a lot of links to these pages, probably they are working and we have a reason to do that. So but in the very early stage when you don't have like so many backlinks, you start from those like smaller ones, and those might be more challenging to find. Like the one I mentioned before, like how do ISP know it's tracking me and so on. But yeah, usually those happens by accident. You just try to cover the ones who might convert, and later on you just write those, you rank, and then you understand that you have some phrases that are like decent enough.
Speaking of phrases, can I ask you something? I saw that some of the topics you cover on your blog are like very specific, right? For example, you have a topic on the keyword is, as I understand it, is the government watching me? Okay, which is, I don't know, it's very specific and also kind of scary, but whatever. But as I see it, this requires a very deep knowledge of the target audience, what they think, what they search for online, and so on and so forth. Now, assuming that in the example I mentioned, some of the people who read this piece turn into customers, how do you get these insights? Because this is not as simple as, just open your SEO software, add some modifiers, add some seed terms, play with the filters a bit. That's it. We have keyword research ready, right? This is a bit different. And I would like to know how you retrieve this kind of information. Is it through like conducting customer interviews, customer surveys? competition analysis? I would like to hear your thoughts regarding that.
Yeah. I would say it's like a combination of everything. For example, in this case that you mentioned, is government watching me? So at some point we realized that users who have some fears, they are our ideal customers, because we are willing to buy our products because we are afraid of like someone watching them, tracking them. So all those phrases where someone is tracking or watching you, we realized that those are good ones. So we covered like if internet provider is tracking you, if your government is tracking you, if your employer is tracking you, and all of these, like where we found that it has at least some search volume, we covered these because we realized. But yeah, it took some time until we find out that fear works well. Like we did some customer research. We have like a separate team for CRO and user research. They are analyzing and doing some user interviews and so on. So yeah, like sharing these insights and applying those to SEO as well.
That's very interesting. It's the first time I hear something like that. Fear works well. I don't know if people who are searching for like a VPN solution maybe are also searching for things like, is my boyfriend tracking me or watching me, or is my girlfriend? I don't know. I don't know if they do, but that would be interesting to see as well.
Yeah, like I haven't noticed those. Like at least not VPN pages are ranking for these phrases, and we don't have a product that could cover. Like we don't have a solution to avoid like your boyfriend or girlfriend tracking that. Not focusing on that at the moment, but it might be a good business case.
Who knows? Maybe in the future there are dedicated pages like boyfriend tracking software. Who knows? Let's see if there is a use case in the future for that. So okay, that makes sense. So it's basically deep knowledge of the target audience and identifying use cases through a series of techniques. CRO included, I assume also competitive analysis and so on and so forth. Now, all these things, kind of a common theme across all these things that we are discussing so far is data, right? And I know that you are heavily invested, and you are also heavily investing in data analysis for SEO purposes. First, I would like to hear, what does that entail? How do you do that? And second, how does this data affect your decisions regarding SEO?
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a broad question. Like to answer it shortly, like we use it everywhere to make all of our decisions. But yeah, to comment more in detail. So yeah, first thing is that we track our performance based on data. So even before starting to work on something, we analyze data. For example, we are working in quarters. So we decide that we will take 50 pages. That will be our focus pages for this quarter. Before deciding which pages to take, we analyze those pages deeply. So from offsite and link building side, we analyze what's the competition, how many backlinks do competitors have, how many of these backlinks are do follow, no follow, how many of them is DR 20 plus, how many internal links those competitor pages has, to very deeply understand what's the competition and how many links we need in specific for the specific phrase or specific page to rank. So that's one thing. The other thing we track how many billings that page generated before with particular rankings and positions. So what's the potential? Let's say if we will take top 3 position, how many billings we could get. Like we're trying to forecast each page and make sure it will pay off, like the investment to that page will pay off. So that's for planning our, like, I would say quarter and planning our work. So yeah, from the content perspective, we are always analyzing the sum of secondary keywords, how many of these we should include. When we are updating like already existing content, we review if the pages, if the keywords that we ranked before, like we check Google Search Console, what were like the keywords that ranked previously, and if we still include those keywords in our like updated copy. If we don't lose anything, we like measure, combine the keywords from like the old copy, new copy, and match if it works. Once we like publish a new content or update it, we track the rankings like weekly, how it is changing, and it very helps for our like team to keep them motivated if they see that like after content update the rankings are increasing, or if they are decreasing, we are like analyzing what's wrong with that page, what we did. So yeah, so basically it's all in our process. It's very hard to answer it shortly, but yeah, I think it helps very well. And we have like, for example, we have a target for the content team it sounds like that, like 70% of our content, updated content, should reach their position target. So basically we have a position target for each of the page we are planning to update. And that is like evaluated based on the competition. And once we make an update, we are tracking if we that position target. And it keeps like it helps a lot to keep like the team motivated, keep them on track, understand if we are doing it well or not, and so on.
Couple of things. You mentioned the sum of secondary keywords. Could you please elaborate on that? Because I would like to know more about that.
So yeah, so basically, for each of the page, we have like the primary focus keyword we want to rank for, usually the one with the biggest search volume. And we have a set of related keywords that could rank with the same page as well. So we call them secondary keywords, or you can call them complementary keywords. Like, so yeah, usually when you check like the primary keyword only, it seems like the page is not that big, it doesn't have that much potential and so on. But when you like review the whole set of like primary plus secondary of those complementary keywords, sometimes you find out that the page has a much bigger potential than you thought, like from the initial look at primary keyword.
But is this just for published pages, or is it for like we want to target this keyword and we see for net new pages and new target keywords? I'm just trying to understand the use case here, like secondary keywords for published pages or secondary keywords for new target keywords that you have, and you somehow, by kind of making gap analysis between you and your competitors, you kind of pull data from Ahrefs, for example, into a seed, and you see that all these secondary keywords have a sum of global volume of, X. Which one of the two, or both of them?
It's kind of a mix of both of them. So yeah, we usually analyze when we are selecting those keywords, we have to make sure that we can rank for those keywords so that the intent is the same, and it's basically the meaning is the same, it's just rephrased differently. So yeah, when we create our content briefs for writers, we include all of them and make sure that they use at least some of those keywords, and we later on track rankings for all of these secondary keywords. And yeah, at the same moment, we combine like the search volume of all of these keywords. So we could see like the potential volume and potential traffic for that particular page. Okay. Let's say that we would rank in top 3 for like 70% of like the keywords the page has. including primary and secondary. And we calculate like the potential of the page based on that.
That makes sense. I guess my question here is the second point that I wanted to make based on your answer. Are there any factors that are not so easy to measure? I mean, yes, you can check the links, you can check the internal links, you can check the keywords and like target keywords, secondary keywords, volumes, whatever, right? But what about brand? Because especially in your category, with some very prominent players, VPN solutions, I'm assuming that even if you have a higher position in some cases, you may lose the click, and this can work in like the opposite direction as well. Someone else may lose the click against you because of the fact that they have a bigger brand, right? And people are aware of them because they have seen their ads, because they interacted with them in some way. Is that something that companies can measure, or like the effectiveness and the impact that brand can have on organic search? Is that something that brands can measure, and do you factor that in somehow in your like strategy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a very good question. Yeah, definitely it impacts SEO, and we notice that. So yeah, when you have like a bigger brand, it's easier to rank for like very competitive keywords. For example, in our industry, like the most competitive and the biggest keyword is like VPN itself. And we noticed that big brands are ranking for that keyword. And when we just started, they had no chance to rank for it. So really, when it comes to like very generic phrases, I believe Google takes into account like the authoritativeness of a brand when deciding like who should rank. The second thing, we get a lot of branded traffic, and some of our pages have a mix of branded and non-branded. For example, like Surfshark download and VPN download, it all goes to the same download page, so we have a combination of brand and non-brand traffic to that page, and we see that that page brings revenue, it converts, but it's very hard to say like which part of the traffic that came converted because of the brand, because it came with like the branded intent, and which part converted from the non-brand side. So that's a very big challenge to define like brand, non-brand on our side. Like we did some exercises to solve it. Like we take the whole traffic from Google Search Console and calculate the percentage of branded queries and non-branded queries per particular page. And based on that percentage, we can see like, let's say we got like 30% branded and 70% non-branded. And we calculate a different conversion rate for branded traffic and for non-branded. So let's say we take like a lower conversion rate for non-branded. And based on that, we try to calculate like what's the ratio and what's the actual value of that page from the non-branded side. So yeah, but it's very like not precise tracking because we just use it based on our like estimate and our like conversion rate. We just came up from the PPC and so on, but it's not precise. Brand takes a big part in this industry. Like big brands are ranking very well, and we're also tracking like Google's index, like how search volume for each brand is like increasing or decreasing. So we noticed that it correlates. Like when you have like brand search volume going up, your rankings usually goes up as well.
I agree. And even though it's correlation and it doesn't prove causation, I think that one thing that we will see more and more in the future when it comes to SEO is the impact that brand can have in driving rankings, in getting more visibility, as an extension, more clicks, driving more revenue, and so on and so forth. One thing I would like to discuss is international SEO, which I find to be one of the most under-leveraged strategies from SaaS companies, just because it's obvious that there are some very prominent and strong markets like the US, for example, which is a primarily English-speaking market in terms of how search is done. But there are so many other countries and, as an extension, languages that you can go after. And what happens is that in many cases, these are also way less competitive, right? So I would like to hear your thoughts on that, and anything you can share with us regarding international SEO, how you started, what were the obstacles, what were some wins you had, some learnings along the way. It would be really great, because I really feel that people need more information around that topic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, as I mentioned in the beginning, we started with English content first. So probably majority of the company starts from English content. And I think one of the mistakes we made is we had to start with localized content earlier. Because as you mentioned, like the competition is way lower. So it's easier to reach some results. But it requires some resources and processes set in place to reach those. So yeah, so what we did on our side, we our team in a way in some like small squads that are working on particular locales. So yeah, so for example, one SEO specialist is dedicated for Germany and let's say Spain, and we find few freelancers that will help them with brief creation. So basically, they analyze, like the SEO specialist analyze everything by himself, but just consults with like the native SEO specialist in terms of creating a brief, and later on reviewing the content once it's written. So just to add his like thoughts, edit the headlines, or leave any kind of feedback. So yeah, we found that it helps.
A question here is: are there any opportunities that are like country/language specific? I mean, you mentioned Germany and Spain. Is there a case where you will not be based on a page that you already have on the website, but there is an opportunity that we, have uncovered, and it's specific to Germany, and we will create a page for that? Or is it just, no, we are based on our English website, the English version, and this is our base for everything else?
Yeah, very good question. So yeah, talking about like the general languages we have on our website, so it's a combination of it's a joint decision from like the whole company, different marketing teams, and where we see the potential as a market. So once we have it as a language, we as an SEO team have a freedom to decide which kind of pages we should translate, localize, and so on. So as I mentioned, we rely a lot of data. So when it comes to localization, we also check if there is any demand for that keyword, for that page to be translated at all. Because in some cases, especially in some smaller markets, there are like no search volumes for some specific pages, so we are not translating them because it doesn't make sense from resources side. Yeah, that's one thing. What's interesting and what comes very challenging when we have like different search intent in different markets. For example, phrase Wi-Fi VPN. like in English-speaking markets, usually the intent is to stay secure on public Wi-Fi, like the use case you mentioned in the beginning. Yeah. But when we analyzed, I think it was in Poland market, in Polish, we just review like the intent, and we see that the intent is to set up VPN on your like home router, so you could have like a secure Wi-Fi at home. So the content is completely different, and the page, like we can't translate the same page and just leave it like that. We have to have like completely different layout and so on. So it's quite challenging in those cases, because you have to think of the ways to restructure your site, because when you like switch to a language and you came to a completely different layout, it looks weird. So in those situations, it's quite challenging, but at the same time, it's very interesting, and it's very important to like have a dedicated person to review the locale to check if like the intent matches, and if there's anything you need to change or customize in specific market. And usually there are some things to change in order to rank.
Are you using tools like Surfer for content briefing for specific locations?
We are using Surfer. It helps even with specific locations. And as I mentioned before, like freelance SEO specialists helps us a lot when it comes to like doing SEO in different languages.
What about the technical aspect of things when it comes to international SEO, like anything from hreflang, canonicals, like schema, anything you can say regarding that?
I don't know if there is like anything specific, like you have to fix those things. So you have to make sure your hreflangs are like correct. You have canonical tags in place. But I'm not sure if there are like anything specific. What I would like to add is from the link building side. So we are doing link building on those like specific locales as well. And trying to get local links to those local pages from local sites. And what we found that works very nicely is that having localized outreach templates improves our like reply rates a lot. So that's a tip I would like to
give an
share.
example? Is that just kind of good translation, or have someone native craft the pitch, or is it something that goes beyond that? When you say like localize the pitches.
Mm-hmm. So basically we don't have any like outreachers that would be native speakers. So it means that we just have to have like 20, 30 versions of like the replies we might need. And usually it's enough. Like you can translate like your response and just use one of the templates you have. Like we used the localization agency we used for translating our website content. Like we use the same agency to localize the templates. So we are translating, editing them, and so on. And we just have all of these like 25 templates for each of the language. And it helps a lot. Like it improves reply rate significantly.
Okay, my second to last question would be regarding talent, finding talent, retaining talent, and getting all these people under one roof to work together as a team and, be aligned as to the goals that you set for them. What are your learnings so far from finding talent, returning talent, and building teams, and keep these teams work close together to achieve your goals?
Mm-hmm. We have a mixed team. Like part of our team is working in-house and part of them are working remotely. So it's very important to keep everyone in the loop and keep them engaged. Also, it's very important to think about their self-development, about the things they could learn. Like we have like different parts of the team. Like some of the team is working on link building, some part of it is working on content. So sometimes we just do trainings for each other to learn new things, to keep them engaged. And yeah, I think it helps a lot to retain the team. As long as we feel that they are learning and improving and growing, it keeps them motivated.
Does every team member have metrics, like KPIs?
Yeah. We have like a OKR system where like each of the team member has their individual KPIs to work on. And yeah, I mentioned some of them. Some of them are like reach target position for specific keywords. Some of them are like build X amount of links or improve the page speed and so on.
Okay, that was all very insightful, I must say, Laura. Last question I have for you. Where can people find out more about you and reach out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the best place is LinkedIn. So yeah, you can find it with my name and surname, Laura Paskauskaite. So yeah, probably you can find it in the description.
Yeah, we will drop it in the show notes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's perfect. Just drop me a message on LinkedIn and I'll be happy.
That's great. Laura, thank you very much for doing this, knowing how busy you are. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to a follow-up discussion, a second round sometime in the future. Thank you very much.
That would be interesting. Thank you so much.
Before you go, I'd like to give a quick shout out to the sponsor for this episode, Ahrefs. Ahrefs provides you with an all-in-one SEO toolset that does everything from rank tracking to backlink analysis, keyword research, and technical audits. The best part, you can now use Ahrefs Webmaster Tools for free to identify and prioritize optimization opportunities for your website, see all the keywords that your web pages are ranking for, take a close look at the websites that link back to and refer you in their content, and analyze other websites to find out what drives their rankings. Visit ahrefs.com/AWT and sign up for free.